Collingwood have apparently got their hook, line and sinker out and reeled in a big fish. But who the hell could it be? If you're new to the Swoop channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Doing a bunch of videos every single week. It's a bye week this week, so there'll be a little bit less videos. But if you are a returning swooper, thank you so much for rejoining me. Let's talk about what Gettable had to say today about Collingwood landing a big fish.
Matt Rowell, well, this one is still continuing to lurk because he still remains out of contract. We know that he met them late last year as well. They're in that race. There is a feeling around the Pies, around the competition, that they have a big fish locked in. It's just a matter of who that is. There's a feeling there's a locked and loaded player at Collingwood.
Now, you watch that and you immediately go to, okay, there's probably a couple of names that could be classified as big fishes. You're talking, your Rows, your Kings, your Butters even. If you wanted to chuck in like a Tom de Koning, not that we probably will go for him, but I'm just saying like they're your sort of big names at the moment that are sort of floating around in the ether. And then your second question is, how the hell are we going to get these big fish in? We don't have any picks at the moment. We know that we can future on trade, but we know that we've got at least 3 players, a father-son in McGuan and 2 NGA prospects in McCarthy and Saxena, who we need picks for. And points. So picks and points. So how are we going to land a big fish? We can do it in a couple of ways. So the first way, if we're to land a big fish this year, like they're saying, is a restricted free agent or a non-restricted free agent. So what we'll do is we'll go through the list and look at some players that are, in the wheelhouse of what we're sort of after. And then we'll look at players that are out of contract at the end of this year and some players that are out of contract at the end of next year. Obviously, if they're out of contract next year, you're going to have to trade for them. So that's when you're looking at your Matt Rowells, your Butters, your Kings. They're all out of contract at the end of 2026. So you will need to trade for them. But let's have some fun. Let's look into it. So what we're going to start with are the restricted free agents and the unrestricted free agents for 2025. And you'll see here just a quick summation of what that means. So an unrestricted free agent is a player who has served 8 or more years at one club and is out of contract. An unrestricted free agent is permitted to automatically move to a club of their choice. So that would include like Braden Maynard. If he was to go to North Melbourne, he could just move to North Melbourne. Collingwood can't match that bid. With a restricted free agent who has served 8 or more years with one club, is out of contract and is in the top 25% of wage earners at their club, an offer to a restricted free agent may be matched by their club. Now, if, you can see here, we'll take Adelaide for an example. If all their players are unrestricted, so any of those players could walk to another club and Adelaide can't match it. They don't have any restricted free agents here, so they can't match any of those bids. But we may as well just start with Adelaide. Now, I've already got a couple of names in my head, and I'm looking at this Adelaide side, right? And the only thing that we can go off is big fish, so a huge name, and we don't really care how old you are as long as you can play our style of football. None of those players, to me anyway, really scream, Collingwood would be majorly after them. The only one that would kind of say that would be Riley O'Brien, and that would only be if Darcy Cameron left. Is Riley O'Brien counted as a big fish? I don't really think so. Murphy, Malera, Crouch possibly, but he's probably not the guy that we're needing in our club at the moment, like player-wise. So I don't think this big fish is landing from South Australian waters. So we move down to Brisbane and Carlton. So Brisbane do have restricted free agents, so that's Starcevic. Starcevic at the moment, I'm pretty sure he's going through all of those concussion issues and stuff like that. So one, hope he absolutely gets better and he's able to play football again. And two, it's can he play football again is the big question. Unrestricted free agents, do they have any big fish there? Not really. Dane Zorko, is he going to leave? I doubt he very much leaves Brisbane. He's playing, career best football up there at the moment. Obviously, just came off a flag as well. Moved to Carlton. Carlton have a couple of big fish. Yeah, they actually. Oh, yeah, a couple actually. We'll talk about them. Tom de Koning is the biggest one, right? We know that we're not going to go after Tom de Koning. Would take. It just. Not only would it take something absolutely extravagant for us to bring to the club, it would also probably break our rules to sign someone for, what is St Kilda offering him, 1.7 or something ridiculous like that. Yes, it would be great to have Tom de Koning, but that's to say if Darcy Cameron was to leave, and obviously Mason Cox was to leave as well, and then we're only stuck with Steen and Smith as our ruckman. I don't think Cameron leaves, so we're not looking at a ruckman as a big fish. Could Jack Silvani be that big fish that we're sort of after? Silvani has played career best football since moving to the back line, and he is someone that I actually wouldn't mind seeing at the club, if I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I think he's exactly the player that we need. Probably a little bit of an upgrade to Billy Frampton as well. We know George Hewitt, they're talking about signing him up to another 2-year deal. Everyone else here, you're not really sort of going after. Collingwood, we may as well have a look at our unrestricted free agents at the moment and look at all those names there. Oh my God, there's so many that we need to sign up by the end of the year. Now, this is where it gets pretty interesting. Essendon, their huge name, big fish territory, is Sam Draper. Would only bring in Sam Draper again as a ruckman if Darcy Cameron goes. I like and love the way Sam Draper goes about it. I think it's out of Adelaide or Essendon. I haven't heard any sort of whispers that he's looking to move, away from Essendon to another Melbourne club. He probably just wants to go home to SA or stay at Essendon. I would classify that as a big fish. Again, could we have a team with Draper and Cameron in the same team? Does it mean that we need Cameron to leave to grab in a Sam Draper? But that would be, so far, that's probably the biggest achievable name, the biggest big fish that is sort of achievable, and Silvani, because we know TDK. Fremantle, some big names here would be Walters and Fife. I can't see them moving across, moving their whole life from Western Australia down to Melbourne this late into their career. So I don't think it's any of those players. But would Fife be counted as a big fish? This is probably Fife's last year, to be honest. Has he? I think he's gotten on the park once this season. I admittedly don't watch a lot of Fremantle games, so I don't know how he is travelling. But that would be the big fish there, Fife and Walters. I don't think we're going after those sort of players. We don't really need those sort of players. Geelong, all of their sort of older players, I wouldn't classify any of these guys as the big fish that we're getting. Sure, there's absolutely great names. Duncan, Guthrie, Blixarv, Koladashian is good as well, but I don't classify any of those as a sort of big fish. Collingwood have landed a huge fish. When I'm talking about huge fish, I'm talking, I think Matt Rowell's a huge fish, right? Like a Gary Ablett. Yeah, that's a huge fish. But it wouldn't be, I don't think it's any of those guys. Looking down to Gold Coast and GWS, Fiorini isn't a big fish, but there were rumours and talks a few years ago that he was coming to the Pies. I think that was before so it was at the end of 2022, leading into 2023. I remember I had made a whole video about Fiorini coming to the Pies. He has been getting video game numbers in the Quaffle. The VFL now, right? Because it's not the Quaffle. And he's back into the team playing good football. Still don't think he's a big fish. Probably don't need that type of player at the club at the moment. I can't see none of those guys. GWS can't be any of those guys. Hawthorn, there's talks of Warple going to like Melbourne or even a Geelong, so I don't think it's any of those guys. Bruce and Gunston would not leave. Melbourne, did they have any big fish? Again, not really. Like, I'm not seeing many big fish names here. Like, it's just crazy. So what that is sort of telling me is that it's not even a restricted free agent or an unrestricted free agent. North Melbourne, Toby Pink, Bryn Teakle, no. Port Adelaide, Atkins, Boak, Williams, Farrell, no. Richmond, you're not getting you're not getting any of those guys. Lynch would have been handy 5 years ago when we wanted to get him over, but that's not going to work out. St Kilda, no, I can't classify any of those as your sort of big fish types. Sydney Swans, any of these sort of big fish that we could be possibly chasing. Rampy, no. Hamling, Francis, none of these guys are screaming, we've got a big fish. None of these guys are screaming 2,000 pound tuna fish. West Coast Eagles, I know there was a weird rumour ages ago that we were after Dom Sheed. Well, not ages ago, it was probably last year that we were after Dom Sheed. I don't know what I would do if we were to sign up Dom Sheed. I don't think he's a big fish though, and I don't think he's what we need. But I remember that rumor, and that was something else entirely. That was wild to think that Dom Sheed could, or the rumor was that he would wear the black and white stripes after what he did to us during the grand final. Oscar Allen, it's looking likely Brisbane or Hawthorn. I would love Oscar Allen. To me, that's a big fish. That's probably the third big fish name on this list at the moment that fits our needs. I would love Oscar Allen in the team. And unless there's been some interesting talk with him and his management over the last few weeks or few months, it's looking likely that he'll go to Brisbane or Hawthorn. Would probably suit Brisbane a lot more. And yeah, it just, I would love him. It's not gonna work out. And finally, the Western Bulldogs. You knew it was coming. The biggest fish on this list that isn't signed yet, Marcus Bontempelli. Could the big fish be that we sign Marcus Bontempelli up as a unrestricted free agent? So remember, unrestricted free agent is here, Bont, we're offering you 5 years at 850,000, 900,000. Come to the Pies. Play with Nick Dacos. Play with Pendles in the last couple of years. We're building a super team. We're building a dynasty. We'll win the flag this year. We'll go back-to-back next year with you in the team. What do you say? Bont says, okay. Western Bulldogs says, well, we can't do anything about it. Have at it. That would be the biggest fish in the history of biggest fishes. If that was to come, honestly, and I'm not being, this is not, is it hyperbole or being, facetious or anything like that? Bontempelli coming to Collingwood would be as big as Gary Ablett Jr. going to the Gold Coast Suns. I've said it. I've said it. That would be absolutely nuts. And if we're going on the mindset that we don't have any first round picks or points, picks, because we need those points for the three players that I mentioned a bit earlier, the NGAs and the father son Tom McGuan. It would be Bontempelli. It's a free hit, kind of like unrestricted free agent, or delisted unrestricted free agent. Tim Membry, Dan McStay as well. No, wasn't delisted, but free agent. They're just free hits. You don't have to give up anything besides some cap space, and we know that there's at least 3, 4, or 5 players that aren't going to be playing from this team next season. So I think Bontempelli would be the biggest fish in the restricted or just in the free agency market. So we've got Bontempelli, Draper, Silvani, Oscar Allen, Tom DeConing we counted there, but we know he definitely won't come to us. So that's probably only 4 players. Like, would Nathan Fyfe do anything for us? It would be incredible to have Fyfe here. I just want to build a super team, like what City are doing, like what Real Madrid sort of do. I would absolutely love that, but I just can't see it happening. But those are the free agents. Now let's look at some of the out-of-contract players in the next couple of years. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the out-of-contract players for 2025, and then we'll pop over to 2026. So these are non-free agent players that are out of contract at the end of this year and out of contract at the end of next year. You still have to trade for them, even though they are out of contract. They are still contracted by the club, I think, until about November, when the trade period is still on. So they're not technically out of contract. They're just year is up. And that means as they're not free agents, they've played less than 8 years, 7 or less at their club. So remember, before I go on, these players again, have to be traded for. So they're probably going to, if they're a big fish, they're going to want a first round or a high second round or a player. So let's look into it now. All right, Adelaide, I'm not feeling any of those players. We are like speed running through these just because I can tell already that none of these players are big fish names. Archie is probably the biggest name in Brisbane at the moment. Devon Robinson. I think there was a rumor that Robinson wanted to come to the Pies at the start of this year, and it just didn't happen. Carlton players, big fishes anywhere over there. No, again, Nick Newman maybe is probably the biggest fish there. I don't like how McGovern plays anyway. I wouldn't classify Jesse Motlop as a big fish player, but I wouldn't mind him, lining up with Bobby Hill and Jamie for a little bit. That'd be pretty nice. Well, these are our out of contract players. You can see there. Going down to Essendon, any big names there or big fishes there? Nah. Maybe there was a rumor about Ben Hobbs as well. So, look, it's only looking like at the moment, all I can see is really those free agents that we sort of talked about at the moment. James Aish, I remember when James Aish came here. Geelong players, is there any Geelong players we can... Ollie Dempsey, that's a huge... I don't know when this was updated, actually, so I don't know if this is up to date or not. I don't really keep track of contracts for other teams. Ollie Dempsey has played ridiculous good football, obviously a rising star as well. That would be great. Ollie Dempsey would actually be a big fish pickup. I love the way he is playing. Would complement our midfield, and he can push forward a little bit as well. Out of contract in 2025. Now we're talking. So clearly, the biggest fish that we've seen so far is Matt Rowell in the non-free agent. So Matt Rowell still needs to play 2 more years with the Suns before he can qualify for free agency. Matt Rowell would be a big fish, right? A big fish if we can land him. But again, he is not only one of the best players at the Suns, but probably one of the best players and definitely best clearance workers in the AFL at the moment. We're down on clearances this year. We're not really winning the ball a lot from the middle. I know Ned Long is up and coming, and Ned Long is amazing. But imagine a midfield with Ned Long and Nick Dacos and Matt Rowell. Could we do that? Could we snag Rowley? We could. We would need to give away a lot. And sacrifice a lot. And you don't want to, throw the baby out with the bathwater and get rid of some players to bring these players in. I don't think we're doing fire sales anymore, which is really good. But it's also, how do we get enough picks to get Matt Rowell over to the club? Because it is going to take at least 2 first rounders. I know we were able to bring in Dan Houston. And that's another thing. We could be landing a big fish that isn't even on these lists and no one's really sort of heard about. And it could be just, I think there's so many big fish names that, big fish, ways you could think of who is a big fish, But to me at the moment, Matt Rowell would be the biggest fish from this 2025 list. No one really here. Hawthorn, Kalshadir won't leave, but not a big fish, but I love the way he plays. Lloyd Meek, is he classified as a big fish if Darcy Cameron leaves and we need another ruckman? Melbourne players, not looking like anyone I would want here. North Melbourne players, not really any big fish sort of names there. Port Adelaide players. Now, Port Adelaide need a bloody clear out. Look at all these players they need to re-sign. Anyone that I would take, Miles Bergman would probably be the next guy, the next big fish I would take. There's rumours that St Kilda and the Doggies are really, really, really heavily into him, but I think he would complement our team absolutely phenomenally. But again, would need to give away a couple of first rounders to get him in, maybe some players, but I can't see, any sort of players leaving besides, like Darcy Cameron and stuff like that, especially to go to Port Adelaide. Like Joe Richards, he came out of nowhere and Port Adelaide promised him the world. But at the moment, with our out-of-contract players, and if we just go back up to our out-of-contract players, they're pretty much like Will Parker will stay. Oscar Steen, Sully, Smith. McRae would be the only one. McRae and maybe Charlie Dean would be the only two that I could see leaving the club for bigger opportunities. Because Charlie Dean is stuck in the VFL at the moment, playing really well, but stuck in the VFL at the moment. And Finn McRae has been injured, but this will be his 5th year, and he just can't crack it into the first team as much as we would like. So those two players I could see moving. There'll be picks and players you would think if we were to land a quote-unquote big fish. Richmond, they'll keep a hold of most of their players. Doesn't look like I would want any of their players anyway. The Saints, Nazaya, mate, I would love Nazaya, but he's either staying here, staying at St Kilda or going to South Australia. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes there. No, anyone from Sydney, West Coast, no one from West Coast, and the Doggies, no one from the Doggies either, unless Treloar wants to come back to us, which I don't see happening. So that's the out-of-contract players in 2025. Now we'll go to the out-of-contract players for 2026. So remember, you still have to trade for these guys, of course. And we're just going to change the status here to non-free agents because there's no point looking at free agents. And also, I should mention as well, we've seen players go to clubs when they've got a 4 or 5 year contract. So our big fish might have a contract till 2030. Who really knows? You know what I mean? It'll take a lot to pry him out of there, but who really knows? This is just a good sort of exercise. I am going to speed run these because I don't think there's a lot of players over here that we would sort of be after. Will Ashcroft won't leave. He would be a big fish though. Looking at the Carlton players, not really any big fishes that I would particularly want. Collingwood, these are out of contract next year for us. Essendon, could we pinch any of these guys? Oh, mate, Nate Caddy would be absolutely incredible. Would not leave Essendon, though, especially with his mate there. Fremantle, no. Geelong, Humphreys is doing really, really well. I wouldn't classify him as a big fish, but he's doing incredibly well at the moment. Gold Coast, no. Where's Ben King? I thought Ben King was out of contract at the end of next year. Oh, sorry, no. Ben King is a free agent at the end of next year. So you could probably, well, yeah, you could still, I guess you could still trade for them. We could have looked at free agents as well. Cadman would be a huge one if we could get Cameron. Riccardi, would have liked him a couple of years earlier. Hawthorn players, Newcomb would never leave, but he would be classified as a big fish. None of those Melbourne players. Jake Bowie played a really good game. Daniel Turner played a really good game against us. None of these North Melbourne players would leave. Port Adelaide, Ollie Lord. We wanted Ollie Lord it was last year we probably wanted Ollie Lord. That would have been amazing. Who else? No one from here. No West Coast players. Harley Reid. Could you imagine if the big fish is Harley Reid? Oh my God. Western Bulldogs. Look, I honestly think that it's going to be a restricted free agent or an unrestricted free agent from this year. I just can't see us grabbing any of these players. Like these are, now we're looking at just the restricted free agents so this is the restricted free agent at the end of next year. You can still trade for him this year. If the club wanted to sort of trade for that. Where's Gold Coast? Ben King, there he is. That would be the biggest fish if you traded for him as a pre-free agent. So I traded for him now because we know with restricted free agents we know the rules around that. But that would just be absolutely interesting. So I know this has been a long video as we sort of went through that. Hopefully you got some good names. Let me know your thoughts down below. If there wasn't a name that I said, who did you see there? Or if there wasn't a name even in there, who do you see will be coming over to the Pies as that big fish that apparently we've already got? People around the AFL think that we've already got a big fish. Who do you think it is? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.